Welcome back to Accounting and Training Services Certificate in Xero Accounting course. Lesson 10, Understanding the course exercise file and other requirements. I have to say that I'm a practical and logical person and therefore always use real practical example in my teaching so that my learners acquire real practical business, accounting, MYOB, Xero and payroll skills, and more importantly are able to use their newly required business, accounting, MYOB, Xero and payroll skills in the real workplace situation with confidence as a sole charge or as part of a diverse team. Teaching business, accounting, MYOB, Xero or payroll in isolation doesn't make sense to me and to my students, and hence whenever I teach Xero, MYOB and payroll software, I always integrate accounting and business processes in accounting software teaching so that my students get a real test of what the real workplace situation requires of them, and when they use accounting software to manage real business transactions and be able to handle whatever the workplace throws at them. With that being said, now let's look at the course exercise file and see what sort of financial and non-financial information you will be dealing with in the real workplace. Okay, here is the course exercise file, Certificate in Xero Accounting course exercise file 2019. This is the course exercise file that I'll be using the information from to teach you different part of Xero from beginner to advanced level, and you will have access to this course exercise file. The first part of the exercise file is to understand what financial and non-financial information you require prior to Xero account setup. We discussed this in lesson 9, but here we're going to talk about a specific examples that I'm going to use for this course is called Ashka Construction Services Limited. So let's have a look. I'm going to read this, and as you can see, I highlighted the most important part of the information that you will be extracting from this file and putting into the back end of your Xero software when we're going through the setup processes. So, company overview. Ashka Construction Services Limited is a limited liability company registered with the New Zealand Company Office and is required to file its annual return at the end of each year to the New Zealand Company Office and RID as part of its compliance requirement. So the first piece of information that you get here about the structure of the business. It's a limited liability company. So we need to tell Xero that the structure of the business is going to be a limited liability company, and it will have annual return requirement for filing with the company's office and the RID at the end of financial year. The company was established in Hamilton, New Zealand by its sole shareholder and owner Jamal Hassan in 2017. In order to form a company in New Zealand, you need at least one shareholder and one owner. Shareholder and owner could be a different person or could be the same person. In this case, Jamal Hassan is both the sole shareholder and the owner of the business. The company's main activity is provisions of goods or service in the building and construction industry, building commercial buildings for its diverse client in Hamilton and the Waikato region. So we've been told that the company's main activity is provision of service, so therefore it will not have any needs for inventory management. So in other words, they're not selling products. The company has 5 full-time employees and also regularly outsource building contractors for each project for various construction projects. So here it tells us that it's got 5 full-time employees, but on a regular basis outsourcing or subcontracting jobs to different subcontractors. The subcontractors send their bills to Ashka Construction Services Limited when they complete the job, but they will be paid on the 20th of the following month. So here it will tell us that the subcontractor will send their bills to the company on the completion of each job or project, but they will be paid on the 20th of the following month. What this means is that we need to put the terms of trade in Xero for the 20th of the following month. So every time we record supplier bill, Xero will automatically put the due date for us. Because the bill from each subcontractors are billed separately on a completion of each job, these subcontractor fees are treated as direct cost of goods sold to Ashker Construction Services Limited. So in here we've been told that we will be coding all the bills from the supplier, and we need a direct cost account. So we need to create a direct cost account in our chart of account, code all the supplier bills in that account, call them contractor fees, and so we can track all the direct costs for each project in that account. Ashker Construction Services Limited invoices its customer on completion of each job, and they will pay their accounts on the 20th of the following month. The company will invoice the customer on the completion of each job, but the customer will pay their account on the 20th of the following month. So that one is the terms of trade for accounts payable. This one is the terms of trade for accounts receivable. So we need to set up the terms of trade for accounts receivable inside the Xero. So every time we create an invoice for a customer, the due date should automatically comes up as 20th of the following month. Ashker Construction Services Limited is a GST registered business and accounts for its GST every 2 months on accrual or invoice basis. You are required to account for GST when recording transaction for Ashker Construction Services Limited where GST is applicable. So we've been told that the company is a GST registered business and it's account for its GST every 2 months on accrual or invoice basis. So when we're setting up the financial information for this company, we need to tell Xero that the business is GST registered and account for its GST every 2 months on accrual or invoice basis. And also it says whenever you're recording transaction for the company, you apply GST where applicable. Sam, the financial manager of the company, has recently purchased Xero Software to record all accounting transactions and prepare GST PAYE monthly financial statements for Jamal Hassan, the owner of the company. Ashker Construction Services Limited has already issued 520 invoices to its customer through their old accounting system, so the Xero invoice sequence must start from the invoice 520. So you are required to set up the account for the company because they have both the Xero software, but they don't have the knowledge how to set up the company. And also it's telling you that the invoice sequence must start from 520. When we go into the invoice setting in the back end of the Xero software, we need to set up the invoicing sequence as such so that the Xero doesn't start from invoice 000, which is usually Xero starts with, but rather starts from 520 and follow up on this sequence, and it should come automatically. Sam has no knowledge of Xero software and you are contracted to set up Xero software for Ashker Construction Services Limited and then enter all transactions for the company for April 2018 and prepare the following reports for Jamal Hassan. So after you set up the company file and entered all these transactions for the month of April, then you need to be able to prepare these reports: GST return, income statement, balance sheet, bank reconciliation, accounts receivable reconciliation report, accounts payable reconciliation report, and also be able to send monthly statement to customers with outstanding balances. When you are preparing monthly accounts for Ashker Construction Services Limited, make sure you look at all source document, invoices for income, bills for purchases and other receipts, day-to-day expenses, and file them in numerical order in the respective filing folders for tax and future reference purposes. So here we've got the basic information for the company name, address, phone number, email address, GST number, bank account number, and also the conversion date, and also the current financial year ends. On invoice basis every 2 months. We also been told that as 31st of March 2018, these are the account opening balances that we need to put into Xero and set up the accounts based on this information, so that it is not treated as a new business but rather as an existing business. And in order to use Xero properly, we need to enter this historical information. Xero termed them as conversion balances. In accounting, we call them opening balances. And very important to know that some of these are like general accounts balances, but if you have accounts receivable balances and accounts payable balances and inventory balances, you also need to have the breakdown of accounts receivable, how many invoices it consists of, how many customers, and what their balance is. Similarly, how many bills this is consist of, and what are the balance of each suppliers and the supplier details. And also, if you have inventory, you need to have the count of the inventories on hand as well. So here is the information for accounts receivable. Here's the information for accounts payable. We don't have inventory, so that's why I don't have that information. Now, once we've set up a Xero account for the company, then we are required to enter these transactions for the month of April. I must say here that this is by no means as an exhaustive list, but rather I handpicked them based on real example situation. In other words, the kind of things that you will encounter in the workplace, whether you do accounting for your own business or the business of your employer. These are the kind of transactions that you are bound to come across, and we're gonna learn everything starting from a very simple transactions, then it gets to the intermediate level and gets to very complex and advanced accounting situation where you're gonna be required to use your accounting skills and knowledge that you picked up from the module 1 accounting for absolute beginners, and also your Xero skills to solve these problems. And here are the requirements. So the first thing is that you need to set up an account. Set up a new Xero account for Ashker Construction Services Limited using the information provided. Your setup must include adding Ashker Construction Services Limited liability company, customized Xero dashboard to suit company needs, including watch list display option, enter full company information into Xero Software, understand the functionality of settings window in the back end of the Xero Software, customize Xero chart of accounts to suit business and accounting needs for Ashker Construction Services Limited, adding new account codes and two bank accounts, one check account and one saving account, customize tax invoice template to include automatic invoice and quoting sequence number, automatic due date for accounts receivable and accounts payable, automatic quote expiry date, and online payment options. Set up and entering financial and non-financial information for the company using standard April to March financial year. Set up GST setting to account for GST on invoice basis and file GST return every 2 months as outlined in the company overview section. Set up conversion months and conversion year and enter conversion or opening balances as 31st of March 2018. Enter accounts receivable and accounts payable and reconcile them with the matching invoice and bills brought forward from previous financial year. Set up user permission to accommodate all types of users, including main accounts admin and accounting and Xero advisor, to have different level access to Ashker Construction Limited Xero accounts online securely. And also prepare income statement of financial performance report as of 30th of April 2018. Prepare balance sheet report with statement of financial position report as of 30th of April. Prepare 2 monthly GST return and file to the RID. Reconcile actual Xero bank account balance against the actual bank statement for April 2018. Reconcile accounts receivable as 30th of April 2018. Reconcile accounts payable as 30th of April 2018. Send monthly account statement to customer for outstanding amount for April 2018. Publish all financial reports for Board of Director. Monthly meeting with read-only user access for April 2018. Create payroll admin role only so that this person can only see the payroll function of Xero only, and the rest of the Xero remain heading from this user. Export Ashker Construction Services Limited into Excel for bulk editing purposes. So these are the requirements of the course. As you can see, that we are not going to use random examples to learn random part of Xero. From the next lesson onward, we're going to be talking specifically about Ashker Construction Services Limited as a service delivery business, using these exercise files to set up the company account inside Xero and enter all those transactions, and then be able to prepare all the reports as it's outlined in this exercise file. So that's what I have prepared, and that's really important to understand that Xero or any other learning in this day and age, it needs to be practical and relevant. What's the point of the skills that you acquire but you can't put them into use? So these skills that you're going to learn, the module 1, we will cover accounting for absolute beginners. Whether you have accounting background or not, it's going to be a great accounting, introduction to accounting course or crash accounting course for you. And in the module 2, 3, and 4, we're going to learn Xero basic, intermediate, and advanced level, using these real practical examples to understand every part of Xero that needs to be understood in a practical manner and acquire real practical skills that you can put them to use straight away for managing the business for your own account or finding job in the office, finance, bookkeeping, and accounting positions, and put your skills into use for the business of your employer if you're working for someone else. Okay, now that we have gone through the course exercise file and fully understood the course requirement in this lesson, in the next lesson I'll start the actual Xero setup processes and procedure inside the Xero software, using this course exercise file to set up Xero account for Ashker Construction Services Limited. I want to be absolutely and crystal clear from the outset that this course is highly practical, and I will keep referring to the information provided in this course exercise file throughout this course. So far, what I've covered up to this lesson has been general and background information to give you a good overview and understanding of how my training works and what we are going to achieve in this certificate in Xero accounting course. From the next lesson onwards, the lessons are going to be very specific, step by step, focused, practical, detailed, and your learning of Xero software will be integrated with the actual business processes and accounting, so that you will become a confident user of the software at the end of this course.